Good evening and welcome to On Point Opinions. This is a show where we discuss some of the hottest, most current topics that's around the world in the DMV, that's Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, and America and the world. This is where we talk about where knowledge is power.
Uh,
Well, boom, what's that sound you heard? That's us dropping some knowledge. Hello, everybody. My name is Bobby Kinzer. And that's Juan Holcomb.
Holcomb. Yes.
Hello,
Hello.
Juan. How are you doing tonight?
Good, Bob. Good to see you. Good to be back on the air. Welcome
Good.
everybody to OPO, better known as On Point Opinions. And we're excited to have another show. I believe, Bob, this is our fifth show. And we're moving along. And there's always a lot going on all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it, Juan. We are really going to have a discussion on all the hot topics. So, just want to remind everyone if you're tuning in, please go out there on Facebook Live and click on the thumbs up button. The more you click on it, you can't click on it enough. It gives us traction, and that's how they expand our audience. And the heart button. And look, this is a show that's interactive, and the way that we could be interactive with you is using the comment box. So if you have a comment, you have a question, or want a clarification for something we said, or you have a rebuttal to something that we said, or you agree with something, put it in the comment box. We would love to hear what you got to say. We want to make this interactive, and the best way we can do this is by using the comment box. Also, put some comments in if you just like what we're doing, or
Mhm.
like to talk about some topics that we haven't brought up. We are open to all of that because we want to be able to deal with facts on this
Mhm.
show, not fiction, not fake news, but we deal with facts. And that's all we want to do, empower our people with information because, the old saying they say, how you can hide information from some people, put it in a book.
Put in-
So, no, we coming to you live. Isn't that
Mhm.
right, Juan?
That's right. And I believe some folks told me, Bob, that they subscribe. And because you talked about that before on YouTube, there's the
Yes, good
subscription.
one.
So that's something they can do as well.
Yes, subscribe on YouTube, y'all. Go out there if you're watching on YouTube,
Mhm.
and look, send the link and to other people, to your friends, to
Mhm.
your mama, to your daddy, to Lottie Dottie, and everybody. So, Juan, let's
Yeah.
get started with today's first topic, man.
Mhm.
And today's first topic, Juan, I want to open it up with: Are we in the day of reckoning? Now, I know that sounds like a very broad statement, but let me explain what I'm talking about. There is so many things going on in America, in the world. We got floods, we got fires, we got pandemics,
Mhm.
we got churches that are closed. People still haven't even gone back to churches.
Mhm.
There's cultural wars. There's
Mhm.
you know dealing with we know about
Mhm.
racism, and
Mhm.
white supremacy,
Mhm.
these court trials. There's so much going on, Juan. And reason why I'm bringing up this topic because I mean, if you go look at some of the biblical days, where a lot of these things, this is not really nothing new. They look
Mhm.
different,
Mhm.
but it's nothing new. They had pandemics back in the day. In the Bible day, they
Mhm.
just called them what? Plagues, right?
Right.
So is there a need to panic, or is this just history repeating itself?
I think that's a great question, Bob. You touch on it. There's always a lot going on, and I do think that uh, we're kind of in a testing period. I think America's being tested. All great empires have fallen, or empires have uh, come to an end. Many people consider America to be an empire, but I think that uh, the reckoning is all around us, and I think that we're going to have to be very conscious of what's going on. But it should not freeze us in our tracks. And you and I were discussing, Bob, about a lot of these things bring fear on, and fear can kind of mobilize you in a different way. It can freeze you up. So I think that we have to be not fearful of it, but aware of what's going on. And I think that we need to address it uh, if possible. Now, you say, well, what about uh, the country? What direction is it going in? And I think that's going to be one of our big challenges as a people. How do we bring it together? You know, how do we how do we respond to the challenges that we have? We
So
have done that in the past.
where do you think our country is going? I mean, it's all over the place. You got um, uh, politicians just out lying, talking about the election was stolen. You got Republican Party that stand for nothing. They voting against things that help people like
Their own
child
interests.
credit. So where do you think where are we going? What is the reckoning point? Where do you think this country's going?
Well, uh, we are looking at a democracy that is teetering some, but we are a
That's a
strong
joke.
people.
That's a joke calling this a democracy. This ain't never been a democracy. It's a failed project, but keep going.
Well, we're going to touch base on some subjects that all are challenges to us, but I think the country, um, the pandemic really brought a lot of things to the forefront, Bob. The inequities, uh, the problems with people's health care, um, response. It really uh, fractured the nation. So I think that uh, just the pandemic, we have to get through the pandemic. We have to come together, get through the pandemic. But we have the people don't want to wear masks, people don't want to get vaccinated. But I think we have to get through this pandemic. And
Juan, as they say when we played ball overseas in England, poppycock. Juan, this stuff we were fractured before this pandemic,
mhm,
it's just my theory. I believe it seems like the pandemic was just another tool to use to get people in panic. If you look over history, Juan,
mhm,
especially the Republican Party, but not just the Republican, the people of power have used fear for years to control people.
mhm,
To make you think Chicken Little, the sky is falling, and people be. I mean, they use it through fear, through economics, through culture, through racism, through it's just not in one thing.
yeah,
It's in politics, environment.
mhm,
So this thing about the pandemic, it definitely
mhm,
escalated it.
mhm,
But for real, we've been heading that way. Every major civilization has had a rise and fall, Juan. I believe this may be, I'm no Nostradamus, this may be just America's time to fall because we've done some atrocious things. I love this country, but we have to pay the reckoning for a lot of stuff that we are behind. And I don't know, as the old saying is, the chickens come home to roost.
well, they're coming. They're coming. I think they're here. The chickens are here.
Shit,
Uh,
they bucking. I can hear them birds cackling.
well, I was concerned with things like the governor of Florida uh, talking about getting a civilian military force that he would be in charge of. Things like that. Uh, I wonder, can that happen? Is that possible? Are we headed towards that autocratic system? And many people, based on what I've been listening to and following, and people coming up with books, that uh, they see us headed towards that autocratic system of governing, and um, that's not good. But I do think that uh, we can we can do something about it. I do think there's possible for us
And
to.
what is that, Juan?
I think we have to still come out, vote in mass, uh, elect people that uh, have our best interests.
Was that a Freudian slip, one? You said vote in mask. You mean M-A-S-K or M-A-S-S? But go ahead. I'm sorry. I
It's not
digress.
that
Keep going. I'm
foolishness.
sorry.
You digress. We need to do both. Vote in mask and mass, and often. Uh, I think these are going to be the telltale signs um, that will help us. We have Stacey Abrams just talked about running in. Now she's running in Georgia. These are the types of people we need to get into office and kind of stem the tide. But if we don't, Bob, if we don't, um, I do believe that uh, you and I have kind of gone back and forth on this, whether or not we're headed towards a civil war. And you know, I've always said that we really have been in it. It's just been a Cold War, like what they said we were with Russia all those years. But I think there are people who want that. Um, I just don't know what it would look like now. Just don't know if that is possible.
If
Uh,
what is possible.
a civil war in
Oh,
America.
man, look, we got so many bigger problems than the Civil War. And I don't understand why these white supremacists think if because they're trying to create a race war, but I don't know why they think. For some reason, I think they really believe if they start this race war, they can win. Don't they know they would get crushed? Juan, I was listening to the radio to Van Hollen, and he was on the radio, and a guy from Montana said, "I wish you would come up here. The government would come up in here and take my guns."
Senator Van Hollenbaugh from
Yes,
Maryland.
yes,
Okay.
from Maryland. He said, I wish this guy's on the radio from Montana. I wish you would come up in here and take my gun. I got something for the government. Van Hollen like calmed him down. Said, hold up, dude, hold up. First of all, it's no way they're going to change the Second Amendment. Okay, that's
Right.
not. So that's a moot
Right.
point. Why are you arguing about that?
Yeah.
And then he said, thirdly, and this was the one to come home, Juan.
It's NRA
He
propaganda.
said, sir, actually, they are gun laws. Gun laws that keep you from having guns and weapons that the military, the government have. And he started going down the list of AR-44, then he ended up saying, and F-18. So in other words, dude, y'all try to start that militia, we'll blow y'all off the map. So that's not even an issue. But that's what these racist people, they think that they just going to win. If just like the Civil War, they thought they were going to win that. But Juan, I want to come to the end on this particular subject and say this, because whenever we talk about problems and issues nowadays, a lot of people are good at articulating that, because a lot of people have gotten better command of the English language, but that's all they're doing. I like to talk about solutions. And what I always say about, is this the day of reckoning? This is like what I say, Juan. There's a lot going on, but ain't nothing happening, man. Don't fall for the hype, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, what you need to do is get your house in order, get your finances in order, and that way it doesn't matter if it's a Republican in, a Democrat, a tsunami, a pandemic. You will be able to handle any future shock if you get your house in order and stop being the cog in the wheel and be the wheel. Have a vision. I was just in a meeting the other day, a workshop on retirement planning, and he asked how many people had financial goals. And these are people that are close to retirement, and some people right at retirement, and only 2 people out of 60 people had a goal. Come on, man. So all of this, what I'm trying to bring this home to, Juan, hottest time, what I'm talking about, all of this is the day of reckoning with all this craziness going on. Don't believe all of that, you all. Get your house in order. Keep teaching your kids the true principles, the basic financial, not financial, the basic covenants. The first 3, you don't even have to worry about the rest. They take care of themselves. Love God with all your heart. Love your neighbor, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you take care of those 3 things, all of this craziness is going to be in the hands of the good Lord Almighty. So,
well, I agree. I agree with you, Bob, and I think that is a good way to start solutions on the problems we have.
so let's move on. Let's move. Let's move to the next topic, man. This topic's for you on to start off with.
Mhm.
What should we fear more? we sort of touched on this: military might or cyber warfare, and explain the two first.
Well, we've long been a country of military might, but we also have moved into a uh, very technological advanced world where our systems are we do everything online, and so that's a very vulnerable um, area for us. And uh, what is our greatest threat right now? And I think it's not maybe an either or. I think we have a lot to be concerned about uh, the military side of things as well as the um, cyber warfare. With gun culture, we even have things like ransomware. So it's such a unique period of time that we're in, Bob. Um, and I think that uh, we have to really assess how we are going to deal with some of these things that are going on. Um, we depend so heavily on technology, and that's the way that we are being attacked now. I don't know, between scams and my banking, your finances, everything is online, but we have to trust the system. So, but I feel that is some ways that can really uh, be very, very detrimental to going forward. So I'm kind of caught in between, Bob. I think uh, they're both equally a threat because uh, we live in a gun culture now. I mean, mass shootings, school shootings. Um, so I think the threat is there. There, you started off the segments about going on around the world, war still going on. Um, so they're both of great concern, Bob. But I think that um, we have to be vigilant on both fronts, without a
Well,
doubt.
what one, my take on it is, we're in a different day and age.
Mhm.
It seems the day and age of, dropping a bomb on somebody and using physical military might. I mean, that's going to always be there, but I don't think that's how where we going, because we can be, and it's starting to happen anyway. We could be locked down and shut down because no matter how you look at it, we're going into a technological world. It's smart grids. I mean, right now, the subway, the train systems on
Mhm.
smart grid,
Mhm.
the electricity is on smart grid. There's cities that's going to be built on smart grid. So it means what? That's technologies.
Mhm.
I fear more warfare because that's where we're going. It could shut us down.
Right.
And I mean, look at the supply chain and all that kind of stuff. That has a
Mhm.
lot to do not just with the physical transportation, but there's also a thing if they can shut down the communications that move all of that stuff. Now we know about the physical movement of that
Mhm.
stuff, which is slowed down, but then all of it is run by technologies, by the way, too. But we're in this world. And so the key is, what do you do about it? I mean, how do you prepare yourself against these threats as an individual? We know as a country we have Homeland Security, special cyber security, designed to catch all
Mhm.
of this stuff. When I was at the FDIC, Juan, our IT department, we were getting banged on by China and Japan every day trying to break into our FDIC systems. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
they're attacking these cyberware, and it can make our lives. I'm talking about the whole water system is
Right.
based on smart grids and
Mhm.
technologies.
Mhm.
So that's what our government has to get better at. But as an individual one, what we need to do, because like you said, there's scams, there's what they call tax trojans, tax through your computer with what they call people phishing with your emails,
Hmm.
websites, which is
Hmm.
called farming, where they get you to go on these websites and steal all your information. That's a part of the cyber war too,
Right,
Juan, to the
right,
individual. And
right.
we must learn how to make sure we have this kind of the what is it the wear on your computer
Hmm.
to make sure
Or
you have security
antivirus
things.
and all those. Right,
Yeah, you
right.
and for certain people who are listening, you must update. You know what I'm talking to.
Yeah.
You must update your systems, like when it say your iOS on your phones
Hmm.
or on Microsoft.
Hmm.
You must do those updates because what those updates are doing, and I used to be like, no, I'm not doing it. They're just trying to get in my computer. A lot of those updates, ones are new system securities
Hmm.
that they are putting on your computer that they know that's what's going on out there. So we must make sure we update our when it has those security updates for. I'm talking about like our Microsoft products, our phone, whether it's a Android or iPhone, and have those updates. Do those when they come, y'all, because it's keeping people from. We can't stop it, Juan. We
Right,
can't
right.
stop it, but you can try to protect yourself
Hmm.
and ward against it.
And just for our virtual listeners and our friends and families out there, um, Bobster was talking about me. I was in a panic
I didn't say no
because
names.
I know, but I do want to use myself as an example. But how much we depend on, the our technology and our phones and our grids. I felt lost. Something's going down. I have try to update and it doesn't match the software that I have and it gets me more confused in the technological world. But you really see how um, you use the word shut down. You can be shut down and shut out um, in trying to keep up with this, with the way things are changing now, and that is a scary proposition, and I think that is going to be. I'm a witness that trying to keep up with all the exposure you have on the system, Bob. You all talked about it in your other show, but that exposure and
It's
financial
real.
exposure that
And Juan, it's real into the fact that um, back in the day, Juan, our family used to, they used to store rice and non-perishables type
hmm hmm
foods,
my
canned
father talks
foods,
about it to this day.
because they went through the depression, right?
Hmm.
They went through that, and this is the same thing with cyber warfare, right? They could shut you down from going to the bank. That's why it's important for people to keep some cash at home,
Hmm.
because I was involved in the 2008 crisis, bank crisis, real
Right.
estate crisis. What people don't know, Juan, we, the FDIC, were monitoring this. They were getting ready to shut down all ATMs in America, right? Because the lending between banks dried up, and you would
Mm.
have went to the ATM and would not been able to pull out any money. So what will people do? People don't even know how that is because we're so used to it being
Right.
convenient. But that's cyber warfare that can happen.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why we need to prepare. You need to keep some goods, foods, and non-perishable foods in your house because you never know, man. They can shut down. Keep water, bottles of water, because you never know. I'm not trying to be gloom and doom, but I wasn't a Boy Scout, but I know how to be prepared.
Well, yeah, that's critical, and I think you hit on some excellent points, Bob. Um, you have to uh, have things available to you. And whatever happened to cash? I like to have cash around, but I've gotten so used to that card. I sometimes don't even realize that I'm spending, the money just hand over foot. I flip it out for everything, and so, I'm moving back to having more cash because I will be more uh, uh, discerning on how I use it once you see that kind of leave your hands. So so I think that's an excellent point.
One, on the military side, let's flip to the military side.
Mhm,
You know, the National Guard, the
mhm.
Army. That's still a issue too.
Mhm.
Because with the insurrection, that was all dealing with military right there. And see when the military came in on that, they
Yeah.
sure were Johnny come lately on that. So
Mhm,
with all of these gun shootings and things, Juan, and I know a lot of people have an issue with having a gun and having guns, but
mhm,
when you look over history, it seems, and I'm just saying, look,
mhm.
just revisiting history, some of the people who didn't get taken advantage of, like back in the Wild Wild West days,
Mhm.
they didn't get taken advantage because they just had just as much gunpowder as other
Mhm.
man. So I'm gonna leave that at that. I'm not trying to influence anybody, but all I know is if you have a baseball bat like the old people in my neighborhood in your room next to your
Mhm.
bed, and somebody's climbing through your window with a semi-automatic, you do the math. So Juan, let's
But Bob, I will say I have one not disagreement, but I know in my discussions with folks, some people believe that quickly that perhaps the military or some National Guard won't protect us like we expect them to or should, that many of them are complicit with the some of the insurrectionists, and that everybody knows that if it was say Black Lives Matter folks coming towards the Capitol, I think it would have been different. I think everybody's not naive not to know that would have been a different outcome. So that's where it's questionable on whether or not uh, which side the folks will be on. I think that's still a question mark,
but you're
and I
making my
think that.
point though, right?
Mhm.
You're making my point where I just said about somebody coming in your window and you got a baseball bat and you got
Right,
a
right, right,
semi-automatic.
right,
I was saying, without saying, Juan, you may not can rely on the police being in your house at
right,
time,
right.
but if you have some hardware in your house,
Mhm.
you don't have to rely on them. And I was not trying to advocate people going out and getting guns, but I'm
No, I
just
know you weren't.
saying my whole little scenario about back to Wild West, the ones who didn't get their property taken were ones that had just as much ammo. And believe it or not, a lot of people are gunned up, Juan. A lot of people. This is not like
Oh,
back in
oh,
the 50s
oh.
and 60s where a black man only had the bullets in the gun he had. I
No,
got
there's no
friends that
question.
got some ammo. So
Oh, there's no
that
question.
physical military war, Juan,
Mm,
I don't really think that's going to happen because
mm,
now everybody is so gunned up.
mhm.
You know, I don't. That's why I really think cyber war is the way that they're going to be coming. So
Let me-
let's go to our next
okay,
subject, Juan, because we
okay.
spent a good little amount of time on that. And look, you all, come
Well,
on, uh, add into the comment box. Go ahead, Juan. You had a
no,
statement.
I was just getting ready to say that we really mean for this show to be interactive, and a lot of the things that we discuss and topics that we hear or that folks are talking about, and you will see when we go into our even our next segment. But we want to have other folks' thoughts on it because we don't always have the solutions. We discuss them, we have things we think about, but we depend on you all because I do hear a lot of good uh, reasoning on these things, and I would like for um, us to, people to chime in, and because this is a show for the people. It may sound cliche, but it's really for things because we hear so much, we discuss so much, we debate so much, and we're not monolithic, and we want everybody to chime in and to give thought and solutions. As you see, Bob always is asking for solutions. He's solution based. His financial background, I think, makes him that. But we want you to be involved with that. So that's why I wanted to get in there, even before
So
we go to the
Juan.
next subject.
So with that, Juan,
Mhm.
I want to make this very clear as a disclaimer for me and Juan. The reason why this is called On Point Opinions, because this is really just our opinions.
Right.
We're trying to get facts. We're not trying to influence you to go one way or
Well,
the
the
other.
other. Right.
We just want to provide you information so that you can make the interpretation on how you see things based on facts. That's the one thing that me and Juan, we're not giving you stuff that we made up. Okay.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds like our, but we may have an opinion on a particular fact, but we're not trying to influence you either way.
Mhm.
It's just our opinion.
Mhm.
That's our disclaimer. So don't try to sue us because, be honest, we don't have no money. You just be going up the damn tree. That'd be some foolish stuff.
Yeah,
Cut that
that's
damn
the way.
foolishness out.
Wasted
But
suit.
but
Mhm.
there are one of the keys, and this is the last point on this, you all. One of the biggest keys, I talk about solutions, but sometimes the solution is really just having a conversation, a sane,
Mhm. Mhm.
civil
Mhm.
discussion, not an argument,
Right.
not a debate,
Hmm.
not trying to win, but a discussion.
Hmm.
And that's what we're trying to do. Share different views. This could
Right.
also be called on point views
Hmm.
because discussion is almost more important sometimes than coming to the solution. Because sometimes it's above our pay grade
Hmm.
to have a solution, but it's
Hmm.
talking about it that really helps. Okay, Juan,
Absolutely. Hmm.
next subject, which is a big one, man. The supply chain issues, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Inflation is up the highest since it's been what 70 years or something like that.
Something like
It's
that.
it's up for the past 10 years. It's been running around 2%. It's up around 6%.
Hmm.
It's running wild. Gas prices are rising. Deficits. Oh my God.
Hmm.
Since Trump's era, the Republican era, this is the biggest deficits in history.
Hmm.
26, 27,
Hmm.
29 trillion dollars, right? So now that it has passed on to um, President Biden, is this going to be the downfall to the Democrats for the midterm? Is this the albatross that's around Biden's neck with, especially the supply chain and the
Hmm. Hmm.
inflation? What do you think? Is this going to be the Achilles heel for the Democrats and Biden?
Well, I think it could be. I certainly think that the way our media is set up, the way the system is set up, uh, it's going to rest squarely on Biden and the Democrats because really, in reality, we only have one governing party. Let's be clear. The other party is the obstruction party. They don't even want to pay uh, their debt. Um, the debt ceiling coming again. They're getting ready to push it out to February, which will be here in a minute. So, yes, Bob, I think it is already being used as an albatross. But what confuses me is that um, if the news media was not saying inflation to start off every show, it's like, good morning, inflation's high, but on the evening news. But uh, you know, during this holiday time period, I've seen people out. The people are shopping. Unemployment is down to one of the lowest points. Uh, uh, um, the economy's back, booming. People are spending money. We were talking before the show started. People are flying all over the place, trying to get in under the pandemic radar. Yet um, they turn around and saying that Biden fault that we're in a lousy place. We're in a bad direction, and surely, we still have problems. People incomes are down, but I'm just trying to find the balance and how that works out. Um,
Well, let
and
me give
so,
you some additional statistics, Juan,
mhm.
and I'll give it back to you.
No good.
And it makes me wonder about the Democrats, man, and their messaging. They just got a messaging problem. This is the strongest labor market boom. Unemployment claims are down 70%.
Mm,
The jobless rate fell 4.6%. It's the fastest pace in 70 years. 5.6 million jobs were created under Joe Biden. 62% are back in the market. 10 million people that were out of the market were back in the market.
Mhm.
Now it's down to 10 million that was out of the market, excuse me,
Mhm.
in May. It's back in the market. It's down to just 1 million. So, all of this other, hype about Biden, what he's not doing, and people forget about the rescue plan,
Right,
right?
right.
Where,
Oh, that's forgotten. That's
it's
forgotten.
forgotten what he's done. What
Those
has Biden
stimulus
done?
checks. Yes.
Stimulus checks, moratorium, foreclosure moratoriums, student loan freezes,
Mhm.
forbearances,
Mhm.
deferments,
Mhm.
child credit. I mean, it was so much that this man has done. They forget about all of this that was done. So,
Mhm.
does Democrats have a messaging problem, Juan? Is that what it is?
Well, definitely think that they're not their best, but I think I heard it must have been a comedian or somebody say they were explaining that Democrats just don't know how to do it like Republicans. Democrats take it that all those good things are going on, but if there's one person that it's not good for, we feel that pain. We know it's not good for. The Democrats will take that on and pull it down. So they definitely internalize everything instead of looking at the positive side. They tend to say, "You're right. Hey, if one person is not good for, we're not doing our job." And I think that has to be turned around. We need to bring them on and see how it can help them, but that should not take away from uh, all that is succeeding. Now, clearly, the Afghanistan thing, that was a big problem. Um, uh,
What do we care about Afghanistan? They kill
right,
me. What do
right,
we really care
right, right,
about Afghanistan?
right.
But most people don't even know where it is on the map.
On the map, but it uses some military soldiers after 20 years. I agree with you. Um, the Haitian crisis, all those things will accumulate on you. But I agree that they should be uh, hyping. We talked about hyping before, but they should be hyping up what accomplishments and what things that we've done and that America's done and that administration has done. They have to get out there ahead of the
Yeah.
game and those statistics right there. I don't think I've heard anybody say it uh, just like that from the administration, Bob, that you
Yeah, and
just
they so
laid out.
busy fighting. They so busy was fighting with each other, the Democratic Party within that. That's one of the reasons, not the whole reason, that Youngkins got in Virginia. Because I believe if they were able to pass the infrastructure bill, that would have helped McCullough. But that's neither here nor there, Juan. What do you think? How do you think this is going to affect the people, the elections in the midterm, Juan? How do you think it's going to fare? They even thinking, talking about the Republicans might take the House again.
Oh yes, they're counting on that. And between all the gerrymandering, redistricting, voter suppression, on top of uh, uh, poor messaging, I think that they have a good chance of that. But clearly, they've got to try to get the Build Back Better bill out and passed. Um, I'm not sure that Virginia. I take a little different reflection on that. Youngkin was a little different candidate. They slid him in there, even though he was a Trump acolyte. They slid him in there like he wasn't. Critical race theory that was there. I'm not sure that would have helped him, and I'm not sure that Terry McAuliffe was the best um,
Candidate.
candidate at that time. He probably should have stayed. He had his time. He probably should have done that there. But that not to get uh,
Yeah, answer
bogged
my
down.
question though. Where do you think they're going to be? How they going to fare in the midterm elections?
Well, I'm not sure about inflation and those things during the time. Uh, if and, and Bob, let me just back up. The supply chain. I heard somebody say, "What's going to happen if these folks don't get their Christmas trees on time?" I had to almost catch myself. They talk about they're getting their Christmas tree, really.
Right.
But what's your phrase? Stop the foolishness. Um, that should not make a difference. But I think that we're a fickle society. I think that's going to be again, that's going to be something. If maybe inflation, gas prices come down some, they get this bill passed. I think that will help going towards the midterm elections. But I think they got to come back and get voting rights passed and some other bills. Minus that, I think it's going to be it's a tall order. They're looking to maybe have a 2010 type of midterm. That's truly possible. And
So
I
what are
don't
you
like to say that.
saying?
I like to be positive, but I think that
So
that's
what are you saying?
certainly possible.
So what are you saying? You thinking that the Republicans are going to take over the House again?
It's very likely. Hedging my bet. It's very likely.
Stop that daggone foolishness.
I'm glad, Bob. I'm
They
glad.
ain't gonna. They not gonna take nothing. If the Democrats do what they do, and the Democrats keep using fear and voter suppression, that just makes us come out even more. So yeah, they're gonna make a good swab at it, Juan. But I just want to give you a little historical fact. This is nothing new. They did it the last election with Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They tried to steal the election. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
nothing new. Stop the damn foolishness. We just need to stay the course, keep doing things, and letting people know what we're doing, and get
Mm-hmm.
it out there, and stop bickering with ourselves, and start putting solutions instead of complaining and whining and
Right.
blaming like the
Right.
Republicans do. Juan, we gotta switch up, man. We
Okay.
spend
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
time on that. So Juan, now this is one for me because I'm really concerned about this. The United States is still competitive with other superpowers, but are they?
Mm-hmm.
What is the true status of America in the world when it comes to superpowers? We're talking about Russia, China, uh, Europe,
Mm-hmm.
the European um,
Union. Yeah.
Union,
London.
Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? Are we still the shining beacon with the power of having nuclear weapons and the humanitarian savior for the world? Where do you see our status as far as superpower in the world?
And I hope that our uh, viewing public kind of follows where we're going here, and from a day of reckoning all the way through to inflation to uh, talks of civil war. I think that has really impacted uh, America and its status overseas. Something we talked about in the last military might, warfare. That's the way America has really uh, made its stamp across the world. We have bases in so many countries. I think it's thousands of bases around the world, and I think that is a changing time, that narrative, and I think that is what has uh, hurt us as a superpower, Bob. I don't think it has America's known as the superpower. We're still a superpower, but I don't think America, in my opinion, is the ultimate superpower anymore. I think uh, China, you know, the differences. China has. We've been in, I forget how many wars over the last 40 years. China has not been in war in 40 years. That and how they are expanding their footprint, and we're still bogged down. We just got out of a 20-year war
And where do we
in
get out of that?
Afghanistan
And
with
where do we
nothing to
get out
show
of that?
for it. So I think that we definitely not the military power. And just to frame where I'm going with it, Bob, they're an international organization, think tank based in Europe. They rate democracies around the world, and for the first time ever, America was rated as a backsliding democracy. And I think that kind of follows in line with what we've been discussing, and the backsliding because of all the issues, and that this move towards a different type of governing, and how we've treated the things. And you know, the infrastructure, our infrastructure really has fallen down. We're not even keeping up. Uh, uh, I think that I rode on a bullet train in Japan 30, 40 years ago when we were coming from Korea through Japan. We don't even have high-speed rail. So we are, in 2021, we don't even have high-speed rail, but that's due to, you know, racism, not wanting
Archaic
to
thinking.
do things. So that I think I'm mentioning all of that to say, yes, I think that is, we are backsliding as a nation, and you cannot be the ultimate superpower if you are, you're backsliding. As we were the beacon for democracy across the world, but we can't go around telling the world how we are if we can't
Govern ourselves.
exactly.
So Juan, so okay, as a superpower, right?
Mhm.
Um, what's that crazy lady, Marjorie Green or something? She
Yeah,
was
I call her
preaching the other
Marjorie
day.
three names. Marjorie Taylor
Yeah,
three
when
names.
yeah, when
Mhm.
she was telling me, like, hey, because McCarthy don't know what he's talking about. It ain't about. She said it's not about how many Republicans we get. We get more Republicans. She said what it's all about is winning these elections and going in and getting in, and it's America first,
Mhm.
right? We heard that with
Mhm.
Donald Trump, America
Mhm.
first. We said
Mhm.
no, that's some stupid stuff. You cannot. This is a geopolitical, geoeconomic world, right? Now
Mhm.
it used to be all those countries coming to America
Mhm.
because we were the superpower, right? We had resources. We were supposedly democracy. We the ones giving democracy. We were ones about humanity. But that's all changed. I mean, look at the debt. We talked about that a minute ago. Look
Yes.
at the debt.
Yeah.
These mugs were just on the brink of defaulting
Mhm.
on our debt. Never has that been. If you're a superpower, that's unheard of,
That's
Juan.
unheard of. It's
That's
unheard of.
unheard of. So we're not the power that we used to be. And Donald Trump,
No.
he's missing it, making these people think that we can America first and we can go it alone. We can't, man. And places like China, Juan, is developing a world power
Mhm.
right under our nose. They own over 140 ports in America. I'm talking about ports. That's where the supply chain comes in.
Exactly. Yes.
They are
Yes.
controlling ports, and then some of these ports, Juan,
Mhm.
they building military installations. Back to
Mhm.
what we talked about,
Mhm.
military.
Mhm.
Let me tell you what China has
And
done.
doesn't
China,
China hold our debt too? Most of the debt.
the majority of our debt is held by China, but it's way
Okay.
past that, Juan. China, man, China just got to deal with the Taliban. The Taliban, the geologists have discovered in Afghanistan there's over $1 billion of earth minerals
Mhm.
in the earth that is used for lithium batteries.
Mhm.
They just cut a deal with the Taliban.
Right.
They China has a major presence in Latin America. They are totally in South America.
Right.
Juan,
And that used to
Amer-
be the U.S.'s territory, so to speak. Right.
exactly.
Correct.
But no, China. Look, Africa makes up 1/3 of humanity.
Hmm. Hmm.
China has just built the Trans Am Railway across the birth of Africa.
That's right.
They've just brought Africa into the geopolitical
Right.
offering
Right.
of development and trade links. China is building a world dominance one
Right. Right.
right under our nose. And America is talking about America first
Right. Right.
and critical race
Right.
theory
Right.
and so
Right.
busy trying to,
Right.
hold back
Hmm.
the black man and exert white supremacy. In
Hmm.
China, man, I'm telling you, Juan,
Yeah.
do you know what the world island is, Juan? The
Yeah.
world island.
Yes. Just heard it not too long ago. Right. That makes up uh, the geopolitical world that they. Uh, how is it? Can you explain about that
The
geo?
world island is Europe, Asia,
Asia.
and
It's
Africa. It's literally an island when you look
right,
at it.
right.
And China is locking it down, my
Absolutely.
brother. And
They're
you
going
talk about
around the
power.
United States and linking all of those together. Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So as a world, we need to get our act together, stop all this America first bull.
right.
We need those other people just like them people used to need us. We become because like those little countries like Greece and Portugal,
Yeah,
they used to come because they had no other choice but to come to America for
yeah.
help. They're now going to other places. They're going to China. They're going to
Right,
Germany.
right.
They're not coming.
Absolutely.
We're not the world
Right,
power that we
right,
used to be. Spoiler alert!
right.
Spoiler alert! I hate to let y'all know. I mean, we got some, but we are in some sorry times. But
But Bob, what about what's the key word that you said when you said building the infrastructure, building across the island? They are expanding their piece. What's
dominance,
that word that we've been talking about that America just passed the bill on? What's that word?
crazy white people. No,
No,
just kidding. Just
infrastructure,
kidding.
infrastructure,
Infrastructure.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I meant to say in the last segment, but you reminded me that's another thing. I heard them talking about the supply chain issues. Where our ports have not been updated and made for these types of things in untold years. You know, the ports should have been rebuilt. They don't even have room for cargo. They don't have places to land. They don't have the ports. The ports have not been uh, upgraded like a China that can bring in, endless things from all over the world. But that's just goes to show you why, to your original question, are we still the superpower? We're not the dominant superpower. Yes, we're still a superpower because
Yeah,
of our
we got some
armament
juice.
and our
Right.
might. Yes, but
And our footprint around the world. We
and
still
our footprint
around.
around the world. But those days are coming to an end.
As far as the number one superpower, I think I can truly say we're not.
We're not.
China.
Right.
And Juan, let me tell you another
I
little
agree with you.
secret. Let me tell you another little secret with China. With the supply chain, with all of this stuff sitting in the ports. Remember I told you China have over maybe 140 ports
Right.
in America, especially
Exactly.
all on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
When Joe Biden said he's going to open up these ports to get that stuff moving 24 hours a day,
Right.
guess who that helped? China.
China.
They had over 140 ports, and they now going to 24-hour. They going to make a killing.
Right.
Man, we better wake up before you know it. We're gonna go to the daggone ATM machine. Not only now do they have, Spanish, they're gonna be asking, do you speak Chinese?
Right. Oh, not only wake up, keep up, get up, stay up, all of that.
Well, it's all about the 7 Up, Swan. You know what I'm saying? First you gotta wake up, then you gotta look up, then you gotta pull up, then you gotta be up, then you gotta get up, then you gotta love up, then you gotta pump it up. That's 7 Ups, baby. So
All
anyway,
right. All
Juan.
right. All right.
Okay. So Juan, last subject. Last subject, right quick.
We bring it on in.
The three trials that now is it three trials? Well,
Yeah.
the three highly watched
Right.
trials.
Mm-hmm.
The McMichaels, Arbery, is that his right name?
Yes.
The Charlottesville, the Tiki Torch mugs.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be afraid mugs? Boy, some Tiki Torch coming out of the mountains from Home
That's for
Depot.
another subject,
And then
another day.
Rittenhouse,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
Question, right quick for you,
Mm-hmm.
Juan. Is anything going to change from any of these verdicts?
Probably not in the immediate, but
No, that's a yes or no question. Stop it. Stop
yes,
hedging.
yes, I do.
Oh,
I do.
I'm shocked.
Yes, yes, yes. I've been on the fence. Yes, you got me to commit.
But
So
why?
yes, I do think that, and I'm gonna hit it and quit it. Rittenhouse, as I think you so aptly said to me, Bob, that was expected. Sadly, the judge I thought was his uncle or daddy, but the Rittenhouse case.
He was. His name was Uncle Tom.
So I think it's destructive. Um, I keep it moving, Bob. So the destructive, that is a dangerous thing. That's the one I'm most concerned about, though, because did it give an open thing for vigilantism? So, I think that is something that is of a concern, that somebody can come across border with a gun that was illegally obtained for him, underage, and shoot and kill somebody and claim self-defense when you did. But I think that potentially sets a bad precedent. On the other side, I think that it was a surprise and a shock for many people in a very contentious case for Ahmaud Arbery, the McMichaels, and the other gentlemen too, that they were all found guilty with a jury of 11 whites and 1 black in the
So we
deep
got a
South.
minute left, Juan. You got to bring it home. We got a
In the
minute
deep
now.
South. So yes, and I think this $26 million verdict in the Charlottesville could be a way of defunding. You know how they talk about defunding the police, starting to defund, and that may be the way of defunding some of these white supremacists, some of these groups that are hate groups and extremists that they call them. So I think that there will be impact, and there could be potential change coming.
Okay. 2 things, Juan. You try to slip that word by me. I don't know what the hell vigilantism. You made up a whole new damn word. That was pretty good, but that was funny.
Vigilantes. Yes, I think that
Oh, vigilanticism. You know that we can
right.
make that a
I
word,
had
but
to
I know
throw
we never.
ism on there.
But you threw some stuff. No, you didn't. You said something. What? I'm like, that's a good one, Juan. So, Juan, I don't know if this is going to make a difference or not with these trials, but we will see. Because we're such a fickle society right now. You can't even determine what's going on. So,
And another trial's coming up.
which one is
Lady,
that?
the police officer
Oh, the taser
in
lady.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said she was using her taser. So that's another one
She
getting ready. I
thought she
just
was
wanted
using
to,
a taser. She used a gun. Yes.
she used the
If you ever
gun.
seen a taser, it does not feel
Right,
like a
right.
gun. It doesn't
And she's
have
been
the
on the
same
police force
feel.
20 plus years. So
Yeah,
she
right.
knows her
Yeah,
taser
okay.
and a gun. Right. But
But
anyway,
but you know what the the prosecutor is defense. I mean the prosecutor's stand is going to be, Juan.
what's that?
Stop the daggone foolishness. So anyway, so
That's all that needs to be said.
that's all I need to say. All right, Juan, let's take it home, man.
Okay.
Great show. But now
Mhm.
we come to our segment where me and Juan gets to get off our chest personally something that we have, and it's actually our personal commentary, and it's called Sound Off. You go first, Juan.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bob. And thank you for tuning in, folks. But mine is a little bit different. But if you listen to the news, it seems to be despair. There's trouble. There's people doing everything. You just sometimes need, I know, to take a break from it. They tell me to take a break from the news because I'm always talking about it. So sometimes you got to shut that down, and but still stay vigilant, stay in tune, as Bob has mentioned throughout the show. Uh, Work on yourself, take care of those things, and I think that uh, if you keep um,
Keep going. I can hear you. Keep talking. Okay, I don't know what happened to you, Juan.
oh, okay, I'm back.
Good. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Then
I can hear
we
you.
can, and I know these are challenging times, but I wanted to say that, uh, and I think I had a little problem with my system, but that um, we have a lot of challenges, but we won't, if you, God won't bring you to it without bringing you through it. And I think that that's important. So I did want to end on that.
Okay. Can you hear me, Juan? So okay, evidently Juan can't hear me. Um, I hope y'all can hear me out there. So what I want to talk
I
about.
can.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay, 1 minute.
Last time.
Can you hear me now, Juan? Can you hear me? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, okay, we have a little technical problem, but I'm gonna give you my sound off. Um, my sound off is going to be this critical race theory.
Okay, take it on home, Bob.
The critical race theory. The critical race theory that they talked about. My sound off is that they keep talking about they don't want to talk about slavery and the history, but my thing is it's beyond talking about slavery. It's beyond talking about. They need to talk. There were 300,000 people that were not blacks, that were not slaves, that fled to abolitionist states and abolitionist countries. I mean, excuse me, abolitionist cities, and they don't talk about them enough. They were not slaves anymore. They became free, and I know there were 4 million slaves, and we always talk about that. But we need to talk about how they went on to build businesses and to create actually systems for their lives, how they were able to go ahead. So I want to talk about when they talk about critical race theory, it's just not talking about slavery, our history of slavery. We need to talk about the 300,000 black people that were not slaves, that fled to abolitionist states and cities and towns and made livings and raised generations of family so that people, black people, young black people can have pride to know that there were a bunch of black people that wasn't in slavery, that were living in America. But we want to always talk about slavery. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about uh, the 25 dynasties in Africa before Europe was even a word. That's what the history we really need to talk about, that they want to keep away from people, that letting us know that black people were kings and queens and came up with the first economics and aqueducts and mathematics and political I'm just talking about all kinds of things. And they just talk about like critical race theory. The only thing they're worried about is don't want to talk about the history of slavery. Forget all about that. Let's talk about all the contributions that blacks made
Yes.
in this country.
Mhm.
Like Morgan, who made the light, the traffic light. I mean, we go down the list. So anyway, that's my sound off. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you tune in the first
Bob.
Sunday of every month. Yes, Juan, can you hear me now?
Yes, great tune. And I apologize, had some technical difficulties, but that's an excellent point, Bob. I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to say this, Bob. Make sure we tell the folks that, hey, I wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's going to be a new year when we get back on the air with them. It's next year. So wanted to
Oh
make
yeah,
sure
2022, isn't
we'll
it?
be
Right.
2022 when
Yeah.
we come on the air again. So
Well, you
I
know
want
you're
to
not
wish a Merry
politically
Christmas
correct.
and a Happy New Year.
Some people gonna get you, man. They say that you should be saying Happy Holidays.
Oh, well,
No,
Happy
stop
Holiday.
that daggone foolishness. Merry Christmas, Dad.
Yeah.
You daggone right. Hanukkah and Kwanzaa
Mhm.
and Happy Wale Tabuki. All of those. Stop all that foolishness out there,
Yes,
ladies and
for
gentlemen.
for everybody.
Yes.
Have a
And
wonderful
Lottie
time.
Dottie.
Right.
And look, y'all, let's get
Because
ready for the new year because it's going to be great because it starts with a mindset, you all. It's all about PMA, positive mental attitude. Let's stop falling for the okey doke, all of this negative thinking. Let's start talking about positive thinking for healing, for our finances, for our families, for our country, for the world. On point opinions every first Sunday at 6 p.m. Tune
our
in.
next show is second day in the new year.
Yes, oh wow, Warren. I did second day in the new year,
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah,
Listen, look,
2022.
this is my model. I have a model for every year. This one is gonna be 2022. What you gonna do? All right,
All
y'all. Have a
right.
good
All right.
one. Warren, good show. Thank you, my
Good show.
brother. Love you.